street? Whose street? Our street. Whose street? Our street. Whose street? Our street. We're here. We're here. We're tired of you pigs coming in our community and beating us queens up.
Oppression has stopped in New York City.
Yeah!
Woo! Now in the bar and on the streets, our trans community has been leading this fight with all of us.
Yeah!
So let's
Gay power!
From Marsha P. Johnson!
We want our gay rights and we want them now. Yeah! Especially for the women. Yeah! And hell have no fury like a drag queen scorned. Yeah! Our street. Our street. Whose street? Our street. Whose street? Our street. There you go. Gay power! Now let's tell these pigs they can't come up in our community and beat us up anymore.
So, with all the cars that are burning, with all the trash that's burning, we have Christopher Street. Tomorrow we take 7th Avenue, and the day after that, we go all the way to 14th Street.
We're doing it.
The subway is ours. This is our city, this is our home, and the village belongs to us.
Whose street?
And after...
The village belongs to us. The village belongs to us. The village belongs to us. The village belongs to us.
Damn straight. So night after night until we're victorious, until these terrible laws are repealed, until there are more LGBTQ police than straight police, we will be on the streets. Part the seas. All right, everybody. This flag will be a permanent reminder that we did this, the very first ever reenactment of the Stonewall Uprising. And this flag
Back in that day, what the officers did was atrocious, quite frankly. I am glad that the NYPD finally came out a few years ago and apologized for what happened that day. It took far too long for that, but it's a start in the right direction. And right now, as a chief, I'm very proud that my department is so supportive of the LGBTQ community. I myself am a proud openly gay officer, and I have a large LGBTQ liaison unit now, which never would have happened just a couple short decades ago. These museums, these archives, the history is so important, especially for the young youth. They don't remember what happened. The fear is it may repeat itself. We have to make sure that they are always active, they know where they got their rights from, and that they continue to do that for the future generations.
What happened in 1969 should not have happened, and it will never happen again. It will not be repeated.
This place is amazing. It's hopping with people, bringing back a moment in time which ignited the revolution, the equal rights revolution for the LGBT community. How can I say it? In 1969, this event happened, and what it meant was the LGBT community was finally coming into its own, recognizing that it had rights, that it had freedoms, and that no longer are we going to be pushed back by mainstream society and deny us these equal opportunities. So when the police started to harass the performers and the patrons of the Stonewall bar, they pushed back. They said enough was enough. And let's look at the era. The 60s was all about anti-establishment and protesting against the norms that were established during that time. And the LGBT community actually was part of all that. Women's rights, children's rights, and now at that point, gay rights. Why we're here today is because we're here to reenact the event so that even those that came today, like I said, were not even born at that time, can understand what it was to be there and to know what its meaning was at that time.
I'm here today for the reenactment of the Stonewall Uprising, and the Stonewall National Archives is doing a reenactment, and I played Marsha P. Johnson. Well, the Stonewall Rebellion was the catalyst for gay rights everywhere, gay and trans rights. I felt like I was stepping into the shoes of greatness, and so it's important to do things like this to raise awareness of the plight of LGBT people, and that, you know, even though it seems hard now, it was hard then, and even back then we persevered, and we're still here, and we're still queer, and people need to get used to it.
This is amazing. This is the largest exhibit Stonewall has ever done in their 50-year history. June 28th, 1969 was the most pivotal day in the gay rights movement. It was the largest butterfly effect and the greatest movement for the next 50 years that really led to gay marriage that we had 5 years ago. On that day in 1969, Stonewall Inn, a private club in the Village on Christopher Street, was raided. The mission of Stonewall National Museum is to build bridges not only to other communities, but to our community. And by sharing our history, by showing what happened prior to that day in 1969, how we were so mistreated, and how by standing up for ourselves and fighting for our rights, we could make a difference. And that's the reason this is the most pivotal day, and that we share this history with everyone, that everyone understands what Stonewall, what that day in history meant, why we have Pride in June. History equals pride. Can you believe that? 55 years ago this happened, and we're the first ones to do this reenactment of one of our days in history. And this is, I can't tell you how special this is, and why. That's why we had so many people here. That's why the police were here, to be involved in this, to see how far they've come.
The opening of the exhibit and now the reenactment. What we saw here was the exception in many cases, not the rule. So although we're moving in the right direction, we are still not there. We still have a long way to go. I don't want this to appear to be a salute to the police. The police joined us in a common respect for the LGBTQ community, because the police that were here were part of the LGBTQ community. But many in our community, especially trans women of color, face tremendous obstacles from the police force, even across Florida. So it's very important for us to remember that what we saw here today was a microcosm of what still goes on in the world, and a microcosm that we are celebrating in the sense that those people represent the best in their various departments. And for that, we are all thankful. We are relying on the historic record to put context behind what happens and what should happen. And because we can do that, it sets us apart from every single other organization out there. And that is really important. And we hope that in the short time going forward, that we will have the materials to put forth a curriculum for other organizations, their boards, their members, and their staff on how to add context to the kinds of materials that they put out there so that they can be more effective, and that our community never has to be fearful, but can walk with courage because they have the tools that they need in order to foster the appropriate response.
I'll tell you something, we're so proud to have Robert at Stonewall. His vision is amazing. This is the biggest exhibit we've ever done, and I can't tell you that I'm just thrilled to see what he does next.